Hey guys, it's Jeremy here on Metal Music Meltdown, back with another video. What I have today, guys, is another ranking of the albums, and it doesn't really get bigger than this. We're going to tackle the mighty Beatles. I love the Beatles, definitely the most influential band of all time in my opinion, definitely the most commercially successful band of all time. I'm not sure what their total album sales are to date, but over 1 billion I'd say for sure. Really good discography, not a weak album in their whole discography. I really like all of them, to be honest. I kind of had a clear picture of what would be at the bottom when I went to do this and kind of what albums would be near the top. I was just kind of putting them in the bottom, like the bottom five, just kind of deciding what was above what, and the top ones kind of what was above what. Was more of the challenge. But I think I decided where everything fell. And I also included Yellow Submarine and Magical Mystery Tour. You can't really not include those. They're a big part of their history and discography. So those are in here as well. So let's jump right in, guys. There's 13 albums in total. And at the bottom of my list, I decided to go with their sophomore album with the Beatles, released in 1963. Really good album. It's got that early 60s rock kind of pop sound. More on the pop side, that's why it's kind of at the bottom for me. I prefer their older stuff, or sorry, the newer stuff that has more experimental, more rockin', a little bit more psych influence. But this is still a really fun album, great tunes, just a little bit more on the pop side. And then the next one I went with was Please Please Me, their debut album from '63. Kind of similar to the other one, more on the pop side, kind of rock, but early 60s pop. Really catchy songs in here. I like the songs overall a little bit better on this one than the sophomore album. Definitely more hits on this one than the second one album as well. I really like their Twist and Shout cover as well. I really like that one a lot. A really fun album to listen to. And then I went with Beatles for Sale, which is their fourth studio album, 1964. Some really solid tunes on here. Again, kind of similar sound to their earlier stuff. It has I'm a Loser, Babies in Black, the rock and roll music by Chuck Berry cover, I'll Follow the Sun, Mr. Moonlight, some really good stuff on here. Definitely check it out if you haven't. Just some fun early 60s kind of mid 60s rock and roll. And then I went with Yellow Submarine from 1969. Classic movie. I have it on Blu-ray. I watch it maybe once or twice a year. Fun movie to watch. The title track is a lot of fun. Hey Bulldog is great. All You Need Is Love is a classic, of course. The only downfall to this album, the second disc is more just instrumentals for the movie, which is fine. They're still sound great, but I would have preferred maybe some new songs or previously unreleased or something like that. But a really fun album to listen to from time to time. Definitely some great songs on there. And then the next one I went with was Magical Mystery Tour. Really good stuff. It's got some previously unreleased songs, I believe, that were only singles initially, that you can't get on other albums. Penny Lane, Strawberry Fields Forever are two of them. And Hello Goodbye is a great composition. I love that song a lot. I love the lyrics. It's a really fun song to sing along to. But yeah, this is a must-have if you don't have those couple really classic singles that weren't released on the other album. It's kind of like Hey Jude. I think Hey Jude as well was never released on any studio album. I think you had to buy their Ones album, the Greatest Hits album, in order to get that. But yeah, there's some classic songs in here that you have to get this album for. And the next one I went with was A Hard Day's Night, which was 1964, their third studio album. Just some really good songs on here. The title track, Can't Buy Me Love, of course, is a big one. I love that song. I'll Be Back, You Can't Do That, When I Get Home, Anytime at All. Really good stuff on here. A little bit on the more rocking side on this one. Not quite as pop, but really fun album to listen to. And this one might be surprising to some people, but I have Rubber Soul from 1965. This is where they began to get away from that more pop sound and more experimental, kind of leaning more into the psych sound. I know for a lot of people this is their favorite album, and I have it, I'm not sure what number we're at right now, but I think in the middle somewhere. But it's a really fun album. Drive My Car, Nowhere Man, You Won't See Me, What Goes On, Looking Through My Life, Wait, just some really good stuff on here. But it's not an album I go back to for some reason. When I put on the Beatles, I tend to go to the ones above it overall way more. That's why it's a little bit lower on my list. And the next one I went with was Let It Be. This was their last studio album, 1970. Of course, the title track is iconic. Everyone loves that song. Dig a Pony is good. Across the Universe is really good. Maggie May. Just some really fun stuff on here. Really good album. You could tell the band was in turmoil when you listen to this album, but it kind of adds like a certain kind of charm almost to it. It's hard to explain, but it gives it like a vibe that's a little bit different than the other albums. But a pretty solid album to be their last, and I really dig it. I listen to it quite often. And let me see where we're at here. Number 5, I have Revolver. Again, this is when they're going a little bit more experimental. Some of their great songs in here. Taxman, Eleanor Rigby is one of my top 5 favorite Beatles songs. Yellow Submarine's actually on here as well. Let me see. I Want to Tell You's on here. Dr. Robert. Good Day Sunshine. Just some really fun stuff on here. Some iconic songs. And just a really fun album to listen to. And at number 4, I went with Help. This might be surprising to a lot of people to have it this high. I know people I'll probably put this a little bit lower. But I really enjoy this album. This is from 1965. This is still kind of the earlier period. This is definitely my favorite from that earlier stuff. And the title track is so good. Just so catchy and really fun to listen to. Great lyrics and like a really good sing-along song. It's got Ticket to Ride's another big one. I've Just Seen a Face, Yesterday. Just some monster songs on here. I just really love the songs on here. That's why it's so high on my list. It's just got some of my all-time favorite Beatles songs. A little bit more rockin', more detailed, or what's the word? More complex guitar playing. Just a really fun album. And number 3, I went with the White Album, which was released in 1968, or it's a self-titled, but people call it the White Album. Double CD, some really iconic songs on here back in the USSR. While My Guitar Gently Weeps is a masterpiece by Harrison. Revolution's a big one. I love that song. I think that's the first song I ever heard from the Beatles. It was from a movie or something I saw it. Really good song. I love that song. What else is on here? When We Hit the Road is good. Let me see here. Revolution 9, the other Revolution song as well. Just some really good stuff on here that you just kind of have to hear. Dear Prudence is another one. I really love that song as well. It's one of my favorites, kind of slower songs. But I love that album. I listen to it all the time. And number 2, I have Abbey Road. Again, this is for a lot of people number 1. But my number 1 I kind of listen to the most. It probably won't be any surprise to most people. But I have Abbey Road at number 2. Come Together might be my favorite Beatles song of all time. It's just really rocking. A little bit on the heavier side on the guitar. Really, really good song. Love that song, a little bit heavier. Oh Darling, I love that song as well. I listen to it all the time. One of my songs I go back to. And then you got the Ringo songs in here. Octopus's Garden, Here Comes the Sun. Just some really kind of fun, lighthearted songs that are really fun to listen to. It's got that Ringo kind of twist to it. Yeah, just a really, really good album. Definitely an all-time classic album and a must-have. And guys, at number 1, no big surprise, Sgt. Pepper's and the Lonely Hearts Club Band, released in 1967. It's got some of my favorite all-time Beatles songs in here. This is their most experimental, I'd say, from all their albums, the most psychedelic, and the title track is amazing. With a little help from my friends, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, Day in the Life, like just so many good songs on here. Just really good stuff. So this is my number 1, guys. Might not be too shocking, a little cliche in a way, but let me know down below. Let me know down below what your favorite Beatles album is. What would be on your top 5, or and why? Do you like how I rank them? Is there any surprises here? I know for Help, I had that pretty high for most people, and I had Rubber Soul probably a little bit lower than most people would normally have. But that's my ranking. That's kind of where they fell for me. And if you ask me again in a couple of weeks, that might change, because your taste changes from day to day depending on your mood. But I fucking love this discography. Great band, most important band in rock history probably. But let me know down below, guys, what your ranking of the Beatles would be. And thanks for watching, guys. If you're new to the channel, give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, and please subscribe so you get to see future ranking videos and album reviews, etc. And until next time, guys, keep it metal.